I am live on a rainy Wednesday, and I thought I would be productive since I can't go out and build things today. It's rainy days in the middle of the week are both a blessing and a curse. They're a curse because we can't get anything done on a construction site, but they're a blessing because I can get caught up on certain things. And this job isn't actually one I need to get caught up on because I haven't been hired yet. So I've just been given information. And Nate, a fellow contractor in Tennessee, I won't say where yet because he doesn't know I'm doing this video. So I just thought it was a good example of a contractor who is concerned about existing conditions. And if you're not concerned about them, let me get rid of some of these guidelines. Then you're really going to get yourself in trouble, because when you're doing additions or renovation, the most important thing you can do is take good as-built dimensions and create drawings from those as-built dimensions. Okay, I go through an exhaustive process when I'm doing something like this, especially on this job, as you will see. This is one of those jobs you get yourself in major trouble on if you just go out there and it never fails. Hello? Hey, Todd.
Hi, buddy.
I accidentally called you. I meant to call Jennifer about the windows.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye. That's my materials supplier, or my salesman at East Chattanooga Lumber. I accidentally called him. I was actually calling him about the windows, which Ray Cronus is going to come and pick up today for his project. If you haven't seen their channel, maybe I'll show it to you in a minute. Anyway, it's a Danner Cronus, and they're renovating a tiny. They're making it's tiny shed, a tiny house. I forgot exactly. I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, you see, it's in the middle of the week, so I may be getting calls, and that's the curse part of it. But anyway, I digress. So the importance of documenting a project before you do anything on it, especially in a condition like this, where you have a gable. They want to do a gable here and a porch. I'll show you the plan. I have my nifty plan view, except what do I have? Oh, I have a roof in the way. Let me turn off the roof, and then I will update that view. Update, so that will not happen again. But you can see here, from the information Nate gave me, total width 18'7", all this. I produced this as-built floor plan, and we don't need to do the entire house for this particular job. Usually I end up doing the entire house, and that's why it's so exhaustive. But in this case, I'm just going to draw this gable and try to get this part of the roof. And I also want to teach you how you can look at by having a little knowledge about materials and their sizes, you can gain a lot of information. And the first thing you should learn in any kind of construction is masonry units. Okay, so there's different types of masonry units and their sizes, but the main concept behind them is that, like on residential, like these modular bricks, every 3 courses is 8 inches. You see, and then so the bricks are undersized. The bricks are like 2 3/8. They're and then the mortar joint makes up an 3/8. Right. So what we want to be able to do in masonry is like here where this joint line is. If I go up, I know this is 8 inches from this joint line to here, or I can count the total number of bricks and you see it works out. They typically make it work out this way, because that's what a story pole is on a, for a brick mason. They will say, where's the top of my window, and then they will try to work out the number of courses that will, of course, then they have to go around the entire house, and it doesn't always work out, because above doors, usually above a door, you'll have this condition. Now, what the bricklayer should have done here, I really didn't want to get into a video about masonry, but anyway, above a door, we typically would do a roll lock, where you would have a course standing up, vertically across here, and that would avoid this tiny sliver. And they probably did that on the front of the house, but here they're just like, hey, it's on the back, whatever. Kind of like this. Trying to rotate a picture. Here we go. This is not actually a roll lock. This is some kind of weird. I don't mean roll lock. This is more like a roll lock. Soldier course is what I meant. Excuse me. Soldier course is where the bricks are turned vertically 8 inches. They're not 8. They're modular. They're anyway, with the mortar joints, they're 8 inches. That would be. Excuse me. I'm even getting rusty with my own terminology. So a roll lock would be where you turn the brick on edge and turn them vertically. Okay, this is not even I forgot what this is called, where they're laying flat and they do it like that. That's kind of weird, but so I'm not that impressed with the brickwork on this house. So that would be my first clue. And you can see here it worked out to where they didn't do anything. The brick just keeps running, and you can get by with this because there's a steel lintel there. There's a steel angle. I don't know if you can see it. There was one photograph where you could see the steel. Oh, it's probably here. Yeah. So you can see it there. That steel lintel goes, and it sits on top of the brick on the sides, and then that will distribute the weight. Also in masonry, the load is distributed at this sort of a 45-degree angle, so you can kind of figure from here the load starts dispersing out, and so that's why you can get by with these, what might seem like wimpy angles. But see, now I'm spending all the time on masonry. The reason I brought that up is because if if I go out to a house like this, the first thing I'll do is decide what my modular, what size brick they are. They're supposed to be 2 3/8 by 7 5/8, but the modular part of it is, like 2.5 by 8. You know what I mean? It's the brick are undersized so that when you lay 3 courses, it's with the mortar joints, it's 8 inches. Anyway, I got to digress here. I'm never going to get anywhere. So let me get this back on perspective because I was looking at it in plan view. The point there is that when you're out there taking these dimensions, you can take little clues, so that when you come back and you're sitting in your office and you forget something, say I didn't take, and I didn't, or he didn't size this window because he didn't think it was part of the project. Well, I want to include it in the project just because it's relevant to where the overhang for the addition is. Like I wouldn't want to put a 2-foot overhang on this and have the overhang coming over to that window. So I wanted to include it. But because I know my masonry units, I can size that window pretty much. I sized both of these windows based on my knowledge of masonry work. You see, that's where that comes into play. The other thing that comes into play is knowing about, all materials. Shingles typically will have a 5-inch exposure. Okay, so you can literally count the rows of shingles to know how far it is from here, from the gutter, from the fascia, up to the base of this chimney. Now, if you know that distance and you know the pitch of the roof, well, then you can draw it, and you can also draw the new part and have confidence that you're not going to be interfering with this chimney or that you can, it's going to be higher. There's a 10-foot, 2-foot rule. This gets all involved, doesn't it? The chimneys have to be up. They have to be at a point 10 foot away, 10 feet. They have to be 2 foot above, you see, above the ridge. Now that just worked out that way. That's not it. Basically, what you'd want is this. It would be this way towards that. So if you went 10 feet that way, then the chimney, the exit where the part of the, where the smoke and ash leaves the flue pipe would have to be 2 feet above that point. So there's a lot of things to consider, when you're doing, original, the original construction, and also when you're doing an addition. You may have plumbing pipes. I don't know how many additions I've done where there would be a plumbing pipe right here where I wanted to do, a roof. And so the other little thing you can do, and I know there's what's called parallax involved. When you're taking your photographs, you want to try to get it as straight on as possible. He did a good job with this one because you can see about the same amount of wall on that offset as you can here, whereas obviously this was from the side, but if you get a few pictures straight on, what you can do is and I've already kind of scaled this photograph, but if you can do this where if I come out 12 and I go up 12, that's a 12-12 pitch roof, right? So now I'm pretty confident that roof is a 12-12 pitch, right? So there's, lots of little tricks like that you can do. Whereas you don't have to spend all day, which I have plenty of times, spent all day measuring buildings and taking all this information. And through that process, through that sort of the pain of that process, I've learned to learn certain things about materials. Of course, being a contractor, you sort of automatically learn these things. The other thing is a foundation vent is 16 by 8. So if I come up 8 inches and see the 16, you see I've almost got the drawing to where it's scaled properly. And again, parallax, where you're seeing it sort of at an angle, not perfect, but again, I can draw, if I know this is 8 by 16, I can draw that and I can just move it around the drawing and say, okay, that's 16, that must be 32 or whatever. Anyway, that's enough. I wore that out. I beat that horse to death. So all that to say is I think my as-built drawing is pretty accurate. And I'm going to turn my roof back on because what I was working on, now I wish I hadn't deleted those. I wish I hadn't deleted those guidelines. Yeah, good. So I can undo. Because I was working on chopping out that part of the roof. And I had already gone through the process of doing it properly. So that I can come up with a scheme that won't push-pull, will it? Yeah, it will somewhat. Let's see. Is that going to mess it all up? A little bit, but we can fix it. We can fix her up. Now see, I can bring my walls up to that point. Now I can get rid of this. Delete guides. What is that? Oh, I see. That's where I cut my that line I was seeing was my bird's mouth. And see this brick, of course, they don't get laid up that high. They don't get laid up as high as people think they do. They only get laid up to the soffit, and that would be down here somewhere. But I'm just going to leave it like this for a second. I'm going to leave it right there for now. And then you'd have your bird's mouth. The other thing is you got to understand, you need to know very particular things, and this will become evident in a minute. You need to actually know, get in the attic or do whatever you got to do to find out how the rafters were cut. You need to know the heel height, what we call the heel height of the rafter, right? And so in my drawing it's 5.5 inches, but what if some contractors like to make, I don't like to get this too small. Like, I don't like to cut a lot of meat out of my rafter tail. Like, here's an example. Like, I would never leave that little bitty piece there, right? I feel like I need to leave some meat here because there is weight on this soffit, right? You don't want your rafter tails cracking off. But some contractors would make this back part of the bird's mouth meet up with that wall. But because I don't know what wall thickness it is, I think it's a 2x6 wall because it's so tall. It should be. But in any event, that's what I mean. You see, there's lots of unanswered questions. And you say, what does that matter? Well, when I want my new addition to line up, when I want the fascia, the only way the fascia is going to line up here, going that way, is if I build my rafters exactly the same way they did. And that'll be evident in a second. So what I think I'm going to do is just, for now, I'm just going to take, am I still editing this? Oh. I'm going to draw a line across here, and I'm just going to bring this up. It would be about the same as what I have it. Like, in other words, they would have cut bird's mouths on those rafters in here too. See, they would be about the same up in, but I'm not going to get too anal. I will probably anyway, but about the drawing, because I know I have to, work it out on the job. Now what you can do is you can just draw a line across here and bring this point up, there, whatever. I'm just gonna, I'll come back and fix most of this. I'm just trying to get this as close, because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get my drawing close, and then I'll make another trip out to the site, because I'm telling you, the more time you spend getting your as-built drawings correct, your as-built information, even if it's just information, the better the job's going to go. And the thing is, you don't want your framer to have to, I don't mean to be critical of framers, but you don't want them to have to think too much when they get out there. You need to have your stuff together for them as the general contractor, because I was a framer for 10 years before I became a general contractor. Actually, it was a lot longer than that, but I'm being conservative. On and off, it's hard for me to divide up my experience, because I plan to be a design build contractor basically all my life, and so I set out to become, first my education. I went to vocational school in high school, a building trade school, and then I knew I needed to work for certain types of contractors for a while, so I did that. Renovation contractors, new construction contractors. Then I knew that I needed, new construction experience, whatever. So I worked for contractors who were doing only new construction. And this whole thing, this is not going to be perfect. What I'm trying to do is get this brick up where it will be out of the view of my elevations. I'm not worried about necessarily being perfectly like that little part right there. What you can do there is you can just, if you're really that upset about it, you can just bring that part up a little bit. You know, you don't want to bring it up so far that it starts to read through, because SketchUp is bad about lines bleeding through. So that's why I dropped it earlier. So I really wanted to show you more about the new gable, and this is what I do. This is called OCD for drawing work. you get in these habits where you have to do things. I got to get that done before I can do this, and you don't necessarily have to. Get up there. Got myself in a weird spot here. There we go. And so that's good enough for now. Well, whatever. Let me bring this up a little bit. Does that wrap around the corner? Yeah, that wraps around the corner. So I can just, I'm just gonna see. This is the devil right here. This is you getting anal, and wonder if I can grab it all and get lucky, and then turn around and get up in there. This is what kills your live streams right here. I know some viewers I have talked to personally, they go, oh, that's cool, I like seeing all that stuff, but others are like, come on now, we just want to see the beef. So you can see though why I was trying to do that is if I do an angle, if I do an angle shot like that or like that, I'm trying to get the brick all the way up, you know. So anyway, chill. So now I spent that time doing that, and there's this gable. I think what I'm going to do is demonstrate, though. I think I want to do a quick, so that I don't just kill people with boredom, is do a quick example of what I was talking about on how you can kind of solve some of these issues where I may have to go ahead and, well, it's funny because they've got this style of roof where they do have that little return, so I could just draw the gable on top just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Let's just do that. It won't take but a few minutes. Let's see if I've got any comments. Hello, Warsaw Patriot and Crusher 5000. Crusher 5000. Oh crap, I hit the wrong button. Here, let me turn off layout. We don't want to get into that mess right now. That's layout is the software we use in SketchUp to set up our sheets, our drawing sheets. See, I was getting ready to go off on a tangent right there. I'm going to go here. So since they do have those little returns, I really haven't wasted too much time because I can just do this. I can go over 12, and I'm not sure this gable is it 12. Oh, it is 1212. That's the one I did the little example on. So I'm going to see what it looks like at 1212. 1212 literally means you go up, and I don't know, it's looking a little steep to me. 12. Typically we would try to do a 1012 pitch roof, and that would be where we come over 12 inches and go up 10 inches because it looks steep enough, but you save a little money on materials and labor. 1212 is like the, but we're going to see how far we think it comes up. I gotta get this view right here. It thinks I'm trying to, there we go. So what I'm trying to do is get that. Sometimes it's hard and sometimes life is hard. That magenta color means that I am continuing that angle. You see, it's really easy to get disoriented when you're drawing in 3D, because then that's what those colors are for. Because I could be like drawing a line that looks like it's going up and it's really not going up. I have that happen a lot, and then I'm like, where had that happen? So here, then what we can do is get rid of our little, well, I might need that. So then I know pretty sure that we're using a 1x8 fascia, so that's 7.25. Yeah, that looks about right. That's why I used 7.25. See, the other thing is, that's the other thing, knowing material supply, material sizes. A 1x8 is actually 3/4 of an inch by 7 1/4. So you want your drawings to be accurate. So you need to learn material supply, material size. I keep wanting to say surprises. Sometimes you get surprises, you know. Just and this is another little anal thing I have to do. Get rid of those little pieces of line. Now, am I drawing on top of this? Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to leave this as a group. I don't want this new drawing, this new roof to stick to this one yet. So I'm going to leave them separate. I'm just going to run that back in there. And I think that is, I don't know, man. I still think it's a 10-12. I think I'm right too. I think what they did was they used 2 different pitches, and this is pretty common. 12. I don't know if you. I can't get around this. I can't get around thinking that this is not a 10-12, a 12-12 pitch. See, to me, if I look straight on, if I do this parallel perspective, that looks, I don't know, maybe not. We'll just leave it like this. It'll be easy to change later. And again, for demonstration purposes, I don't need to get too anal with this. What I need to do is, I don't know what you can do is you can make this a group, and then you can select the other group, and then you can click on intersect faces with selection, and it will cut that, it will show you how to, so I can turn off that part, and it'll show you where you need to cut. What I should have done was let this one, let's redo that. I'm gonna explode this one. That will actually place the line work on this part. So what I'm going to do is select all this and that, and say intersect. Well, I lost my groups. That, and intersect faces with selection, and then turn off the roof. Okay, it's not going off. What happened? That. Oh, I'm turning off the wrong thing. There we go. Let's try that again. Did I undo something? Which I have been known to do. I'm going to grab that whole thing. I'm trying not to grab anything else. That, and intersect faces with selection. There we go. I see the line now. I think I accidentally undid something. So the reason you want to do that is because now I can just delete the part that I don't want. Oops. I want that part. I want my picture. I'm kind of doing this in a hurry. That's why I'm screwing up. I'm trying to do it in a hurry. Alright, let's just see. Let's get rid of. Let's see if I'm going to. Yeah, I don't need that line right now. I'm going to leave that little flat part just because. No, I don't need it, do I? There we go. Right, let's just say that that's our valley. And that should be pretty close to, yeah, I think I'm trying to rotate a picture. That should be pretty close. And I'll go in and cut out this part later. What I'm trying to demonstrate now is the concept of the height of this gable. And the way I can do that is I can make a group out of this whole as-built thing, and then I'll call that my as-built group. And so once you get your as-built drawing done, you need to either save a copy of it or group it or do whatever you need to do to not change it, because then if you alter it as you're going along and you change the new part, then you've got to go back and redo your as-built part. So I'm going to find, I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, I've already got this kind of laid out on the ground here on the floor plan where that line might be to connect it to that existing wall. I'll show you why right quick. You want your new wood construction to integrate into this. Do I have my pointer showing? I bet I don't. I need to turn that back on. I don't know if you can change that. Dang it. Let's see. I don't want to do that. Let's see. Alright, that's stuff I don't need to worry about right now. Let's see if we have any comments. No more comments. Anyway, you want your wood beam that's going to come out of this thing you want all that to be kind of integrated with your floor plan. And we got to turn our roof back on. So what I'm going to do is, so that's the width. The reason that's important is because that's the width of our project right there. Now the center of the project is the center of this. Okay, is that right? 10 feet forward? Yep. And so what I'm going to say is I'm just going to build myself build myself a roof here on the ground, and I'm going to come up that 5 inches, and I'm going to come over 12, and I'm going to go up well, okay, so we need to come up with an angle. And one thing I can do is kind of cheat this. I can put this on parallel projection, and then I can put it on this view. And then I can kind of draw what I think needs to happen. And I don't know what plane I'm on. I can draw. Oh, I know I can do. I can draw myself a guide here. So if I needed that roof to come down right here and then go up to the center, what pitch would that be? 12. I want to start on this and go 12. It's not starting there. Let's go back to perspective mode here again. Well, I can do this. I can come out 12 from here. And so that's 11. That's 11, 12. So 12, 12. I don't know. I like my 11, 12. See, it doesn't matter. We don't need to get stuck on a pitch. We need to, we need to do what's right. So, or what we think is right. So what I'm trying to do, and this is going to take a minute, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this and this, that, and I'm going to copy this first. I need to get away from that so I can see. There we go. What is horizontal? -1 on that scale mirroring, and then put that there. You see, that gives me my idea. Did I go over 12 inches? That's 12 and a half. So that'll be pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is draw myself I'm going to come down 7 1/4, 7.25 for my fascia, and I'm going to come over here, go up, and what I may do is just, let me make myself a group here now. Triple click, group, and now I can demonstrate something. If that goes back to there, well, it needs to go back further, doesn't it? It'll go back to where you'll have well, we'll try to get it as close as right there as we can. Yeah. And then this would come out. Now, the only problem with this is, that would be, we would have to figure out what our ceiling height would be. So, because our floor, our new floor is going to be right in here. So, if we had, let's go ahead and figure out 7.25. If that was our rafter, oops, am I editing this? Yeah. And that would go all the way back. And so then what you would probably have to do is, well, let's just draw our floor right quick. This be easy enough. It would be here, and it would go down, let's see, 10 inches, 10 1/4, 9 1/4, and yeah, 10 1/4, 10.25. It would be a 2 by 10. Well, that's weird. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I know what I did. I was drawing a rectangle accidentally. 10.25. Yeah, come over here, up there, and we'll see if that, yeah, that worked. So that would be a 2 by 10 with 1 inch decking on top of it, and that comes out to here, and then it steps down, and so that's a group. So then you want at least probably, well, we have to get above these windows, so 9 feet probably, oops, so 10 feet. Oops. We'll probably want to come up. We want to come up at least a foot above the windows. Why did I lose my thingy? Come on now. I gotta push the control. There we go. Sometimes I don't know why that keeps wanting to change. 9 feet 9, so we want to come up at least 12 inches above that. And I'm not going to get too crazy there. What we'll do is we'll just show a. Am I still editing this? No, I need to go in here and edit this now. So we'll show a line across here. And oh, I see what's going on. That's that roof in there. Let's just draw us a little. Let's just draw us a 7 1/4 and 1/2 inch. Be 7 3/4 .75. Is that right? 7 1/4, half. Yeah, it looks thin to me. We'll just draw us a ceiling plane. I don't think I actually got that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Okay. So then that would be back. Let's just put it back. Let's just go back and then we'll go back 12 inches just to make it look like there's an overhang there. The thing is, this roof continues on out. That's the other. That's another good reason why I thought this concept would work better. And I'm gonna show. I'm gonna show why. I think. What is that? That should be. Oops. Oh, I see what happened. There was a line there that was breaking that up. Yeah, now I can bring the whole thing out. So this will come out to here and then come out another 12. But I meant to get rid of those lines right there. So I don't know exactly how the ceiling. I guess the ceiling. It would be. You can actually here. You could actually bring this up. As a matter of fact, the more I look at it, well, the thing is, the ceiling. Say you kept it at that level. When you get out here, the part that's going to step down. Now the ceiling's going to be. 12 feet 9. So you gotta. You gotta decide how much. The thing is, it makes me want to. Honestly. It makes me want to at least raise it up the thickness of the ceiling. Yeah. Let me push this back to there and get rid of it. I want to go up. It looks too low. So I want to go up, let's say 18 inches. And then we'll go up 7.75. Like that. That's probably going to look better. Because you want kind of a lofty look. And it may be that you leave it, the only thing is you need some kind of collar tie across here, but you could make this ceiling obviously as high as you want to. I want to come out 26 feet. Like that. So, now, to the meat of this whole thing. Okay. And this is actually gonna be a very good demonstration of getting good planning. This is gonna be an excellent delete guides. So let's see if we have any more comments. Locked rocks and whatnots. Modeling is harder than actually building. This is why. It actually is. Sometimes I can build things faster, but now that if I was building this is actually for a contractor friend of mine. He lives out he lives near Nashville. I live in Chattanooga. But if I was building this, when I go out to the job, it's already in my head. And that's kind of the point. You want the job to be in your head when you go out to start building. And the only way to get it in your head is to do this, is to plan it like this. Okay, and SketchUp is not that hard to learn. You know, these are just basic shapes. These are just triangles and rectangles and slopey roofs. But what I'm trying to demonstrate here is, and this is going to be the most important part, I could have just drawn all this first, but I like to make long, boring videos, so I did it this way. So here's the crux, okay? The crux is this side is cool, okay? This side's fine, okay? Even if I raise this roof up, there's really nothing going on here to interfere. This valley here, though, is what you're trying to avoid, or you're trying to work it out, okay? So I'm going to show it the way I like it first, and then I'm going to show why it's not a good idea. I think I'm going to leave this separate. And what I may do, it just occurred to me, I'm going to raise this up to where, is that ceiling part of it? Yeah. I'm going to raise it up, and this is what you want to do. And this is what you might have to make small, you know, little changes in the field. You want that point of the roof to meet that point, okay? I'm going to show you why. Okay, now we got our higher ceiling like that we wanted, right? But that's why, going all the way back to the beginning, when I said you want to know the bird's mouth, you want to know the heel cut of this thing, so that when you start building, the most critical thing here is going to be the beam, the beam height, what you're setting this roof on. Okay, the elevation of this finished roof is critical. Okay, so now what you'll do is you would I'm just going to draw this outside of both of these, so there'll be a separate thing. See, now I can just frame in that part right there. See, and now what's going to happen is, let me make that I want to make that a group. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to hide. Let's see, I'm going to hide those lines. Then I'm going to hide these two. Oh, I'm not editing that. That's what it is. Hide that. There we go. That'll give you the full effect of that being filled in. So now what's going to happen is the water is going to come down. It's going to come down this valley and run out. And this is the entire thing we're trying to do in construction is control water, control moisture. Okay, the whole reason we build houses is to get out of the rain, get out of the weather, the snow. Okay, I'm going to try to draw this. The rain's going to come down and then run out like this. Okay, maybe if it's just slow drizzle, it'll come down and run around like this. Okay, and then it'll run into your gutter. Okay, and then you'll have a gutter and you'll have a downspout coming down here. This is why I wanted to draw that window, because I'm going to have a gutter and a downspout coming down through here. Okay, so imagine that your water coming out of the valley, and I don't know exactly, you know, it's going to do something like, if we were going to draw, you know, an average, the average water, you know, somewhere in here. Okay, right? Okay. And it may be even steeper than that. If it depends. You see, if it's a deluge, these steep roofs, you know, they can funnel quite a lot of water. Imagine yourself sitting on this roof, and it is kind of fun when you're framing to sit in this little crux and relax, because when you're on a steep roof like this, you can't relax at all. You're always in a strain to hold on. So imagine yourself in there and water coming down both these valleys, whoosh, whoosh, right? And it's hitting this valley and bam. Now, where's it going to go? It's like a little waterfall, okay? So let's get rid of that. You've seen that. I've beat that dead horse. Now, what would happen if we raise this roof up to where your common... Let's fill this in right quick. How come I don't have a... I don't guess it matters. I'm going to hide it anyway. Or I'm going to hide the edges. I'm going to make it a group first. Then I'm going to come in here and select it all and deselect the face. And then hide it. I think I lost my edge. Yeah, over here. Oh, that's the other one. Yeah, so now I want to come in. Hide this line. Like that. Okay. So now... And we've got our dormer over here, which is no big deal. If I get this job and he pays me to do this. And by the way, there's going to be a lot more detail to put in here. Because if I'm talking to Nate now, if we do this, either way we do it, we're going to have to detail the framing. So this is just what I call schematic mode. Okay, but I would put this dormer on. I would do all this. I would put brick. I would put the windows. I'd do the full Monty. Okay. I'd do all the post and beam, the rails, the fireplace, all that stuff. So, anyway, that's my sales job. But so let's imagine now. Now, first of all, let's get our pitch in here. Okay. So how high is our ceiling out here on the ground? 13.8. That's taller than most, pretty much any residential ceiling. Okay. Back here. And the reason I'm saying it's because it doesn't look very tall. It's 11'8" here, but if I put a person in here, person, can I just get a standard person? All right, figures. Oh, I gotta go to models. Here we go. We'll say, here's our female carpenter. Okay, we're going to put her. You see, now you can see the scale of this thing. Let's see, is she standing on the floor? Yeah, okay. I like those little things. Let's see, let's cut her out. We're going to cut her out. We're not going to cut her out of the whole project. We're just going to paste her back where she's not in this group. I like these little... what they do is they turn to face the camera no matter which angle you got. It's kind of cool. But they don't take up a lot of space in your drawing because they're just flat 2D and they don't have a lot of faces. So you can see, before, I promise you thought, and I did too, honestly I did too, I thought it would be more like this, right? That's the impression you get. Because all this stuff is big together, like there's nothing here to give a lot of contrast as far as the scale goes. Because look at this, you got big tall windows, you got big roof, everything's big, so it's like relative as far as your perspective. But we go put a person in there. I think she's like 5'7", 5'6". Yeah, she's like 5'6". So she's not the tallest girl, but it gives you an idea. Okay. So my point there is, you might have a tendency to say, well, if you drop that down, if we drop this down, it's going to be too low. Well, no, it's not. It just appears. Okay. Now let's do one. We're going to call this. We're going to go under our folders here. I love the new, I think it was SketchUp 21 that did this, put folders for the tags. We call them layers back in the old days. I still call them layers. Let's make a new one called roof option. I'm just going to say op A. Okay, because I like, this is This is my first choice right here. We're going to do roof option A. Roof option A. Got too many layers. Now I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to raise it up for now wherever, and then I'm going to put that one in roof option B. Roof op B. Okay, and we'll go, I'm selected it, yeah, roof option B. Now I'm going to turn off A, and now we're going to talk about why it's a bad idea. And you may be able to see this already. So let's say that these fascias, and this is what you'd really want to do, the only standard you would have is, if you were wanting a reference, would be that these fascias line up. So let's get us a line here, and now we can connect them together. A reference, yeah, like that. Did I move that? Yeah. And I thought something was wrong with this roof earlier. Yeah, this line would continue. I thought something was wrong with this. This would be like that. Yeah, I kept looking at that thinking there's something wrong with this picture. Something wrong with this picture. For some reason it doesn't like me deleting that line. Oh, I know why. I'm just going to leave it there for now. But let's do the same thing over here just to make sure it's more accurate. The fascias, the point is that the first standard we would use in putting this roof on is we would want the fascias to line up. And the reason is because when we come back to do our gutters, we want them to line up and all be integrated, right? We want the drainage system to be integrated. Now, because this roof is taller, or it's going to have to be built back farther, right? Okay. So now, let me show you what's wrong with this picture. I mean, it's not terrible, but what you don't want is, in some cases, you don't want the trough. You don't want this little trough right here. Okay. Now, I'll be honest, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And if you decide to do it this way, and see, again, this is why modeling what you got going on is important, because it's actually not as bad as I thought it was, and I'm trying to be honest here. But there's another aspect of this I want to bring up. Okay, so what you would have to do is, in some cases, let's say this part of the house came out farther, and this roof was farther. That means this would be out farther too. Okay, and this was kind of I didn't mean to undo. Let's say it's at 4 feet, so I'll just know what to stick it back. And I thought it was going to be more like this. What you have to do is you have to build like a cricket in here, right? You gotta, and honestly, it can get ugly, right? You have to go in and build a situation where the water is not getting caught in this, and it's not just water. You could make this almost like a swimming pool where this is totally waterproof, that little trough in there. But what would happen is you'd have leaves and crap build up, and even eventually you'd have dirt. I've literally seen little pine trees start growing out of these situations. I'm talking on 5 or 6 year old houses. I'm not talking about, and you've probably seen this in gutters that weren't cleaned out very long. You'll have plants start growing out of them. Well, this is the kind of situation where the leaves, they degrade into basically dirt, and then plants start growing out of them. And then what happens is you get stuff growing back up under the shingles. So it's not a good situation. So you decide what your tolerance is. And let's see what pitch I drew. the pitch would be, basically that would be the roof pitch if you're looking at the pitch of this. So you just decide what you wanted that little pitch to be, and so you'd have to go in and build that little cricket. Now, does it matter? Can you see it standing on the ground? On this side, you wouldn't have to do it. That's why I said this dormer is irrelevant, really, because you can see where we framed in that roof. That's what these little things are. If I delete that for a second, you'll see if you do it this way, you'd only have that little triangle. What you do is you'd build this roof first, and then you would fill in that little triangle. And of course, all that, pretty much this whole side of the roof is going to have to be redone. Now I will say this, if you drop this roof down, so let's put this in, let's group this, but let's cut it out, and we're going to put it in with this group, so it'll be in option B, like that. Okay, and I'm going to delete the guidelines. Okay, so if we go back to option A, like this, oh, that's right, and this was back. Now, I really didn't. What's funny is I didn't actually draw. Option B is not correct, because it wouldn't be as big of a valley. So let's go back to, it just occurred to me, I created that situation. Let's turn on, this point would be back here, and you wouldn't have to have necessarily I mean, you could, it just depends on how, if you wanted to camouflage this point, this cricket, you could probably get by with bringing it down here, like that. What did I do? Oh, I got to take that back. Like that. I don't know if that's level or not. Did I get it level? I don't think I did. Dang it. There we go. There we go. So you could, and I'm just about ready to give in on this, but the other aspect of this is, what do I have to do to the existing roof? How much damage do I have to do? How much damage do I have to do to get it to that point? In other words, which roof is going to cause me less pain? And I'm not talking about profitability here. I'm saying if you're making the same amount of profit on the job, what's going to cause you less pain? The less pain is going to be the least amount of work you have to do to the existing building, right? So if I can just take off this gutter, and I can just cut into the brick enough to get, or what Nate and I talked about doing was just putting a post here, so we didn't have to cut into the gutter. I mean, to the brick. For my initial thought was, and I've done this before, where you cut out the brick so that you can connect, and then you cut a little pocket into the wall, and then you slide your beam in there, and it's got a good place to sit. So that's what you would do if you didn't want to post against the brick, or close to the brick right there. But if you had a post and a beam right there, it would be dropped down enough to where the roof would just barely hit right here, and you literally wouldn't have to do much in the way of tearing off, because what you don't want to do is expose the existing house to any weather while you're building, while you're constructing this thing. So What time is it? 10:39. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, any more questions? Is this a northern house where you would have ice damming issues? Yeah. Well, even in the south, in Tennessee, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if you missed it, but I was saying in any event, either way I do this junction right here, I would do ice and water shield, like you're saying. Some people call it weather guard. We call it ice and water shield down here, because we are protecting it against ice damming. That's why we call it ice and water shield. We would do this whole area. I would tear off. Honestly, I would include in this job probably redoing the back of the house on the roof, because you're going to have to tear off. You're going to have to tear off an area. You know, I mean, you know what I mean. This new roof has to be integrated with other roof. These valleys, what we do is we take the ice and water shield and we run it up on it laps over, comes down. We lap it in the valley on both sides. And I know it's kind of hard to draw this with the pencil part, but it's lap. So what you're doing is you're creating a big. I don't know if I even drew that on the right plane. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't use that freehand pencil that much. It's kind of hard. It shows you how hard it is to draw. But this whole area would be covered in ice and water shield. And then any little flat spot, especially, you probably double it up. So it's not going to leak necessarily, but you're still going to have situations. What's your name? Forgot. Locks, rocks, and whatnots. My grandmother used to have whatnots. The reason we were building this cricket right here, if we delete it, is to avoid that situation where you'd have a gully, a horizontal ditch like that. Even this small one would collect leaves and crap, right? And ice in the wintertime. It would, and then what Lock Rocks is talking about is, as if you get let's say we got a volume of let's just say, and this literally can happen very easily, right? Let's go this right here. This comes over here. This goes down here. This goes over here. Let's say that whole thing filled up with ice, which it very easily could do. You say, oh, there's a wall here. Well, it would just be, if you really get technical, it might be sloped, like this, something like that. But whatever, it's going to get ice there. It can actually happen even on here, on the part you think is open, because there's gutters there. The snow can build up on top of the gutter. It can fill it up and then build up, and then you've got a place right here, a big trough. And what happens is, as the ice melts when the sun comes out and the snow event is over, the heat from the roof, because you got inefficient insulation too. So heat's coming from inside your house, and the roof's getting warmed up from the part that doesn't have snow on it anymore. It's warming up this part down here. It's melting the ice underneath the packed part, and the water that's melting under here gets dammed up, and it has to go somewhere. So what it does is it finds the path of least resistance, and it starts literally running back under your shingles. You see? So if this had ice damming right here, for the first 2 or 3 rows, 4 rows, water would be trying to rush back up under the shingles. And the shingles are just flapping. They're not sealed. You can raise the shingles up. They're not glued down. So the water can have a place to go. That's what Lock Rocks is talking about. So I want to kind of get rid of all this ugly drawing work I did with the freehand. Let's see how much damage I did. There we go. So that's kind of an explanation of that. And if Nate hires me for this, I thought this was a good example. It was a good enough example to invest time in making this video just for my channel. If I don't get the job helping him as a consultant on this, it's cool. He's probably pricing the project right now to the owner, and he's got to include my fees in with that. So it becomes a question of just money at some point. But and if this helps him without him hiring me, so what? Maybe I'll get a few views out of it. But anyway, the important thing is that we go through this process of planning and understanding, and not just saying, telling the homeowner, I can build a gable roof out there and whatever, and you start throwing walls up and beams and rafters without even going through this process of being able to tell the homeowner. And that's one of the biggest things, is that a lot of contractors will just start out. They won't have a good picture, a good image, a good plan to show the owner, and then things come up, and then owners have to start asking questions, and they may disagree with what you're going to do without having a real reason to. So it causes problems, communication problems, and that's why a lot of jobs just break down. And I've just seen, whole, contracts get canceled and all this kind of stuff. So over communication issue, it's the number one issue in construction, is communication. And the only way you can communicate with the owner is to have good information to be able to communicate with them. So anyway, hope this helped. Let me check. There's Night Strike. We need more cabin SketchUp videos. I know. I've got a project. I've got a project that's going to maybe help me fund my cabin. I need to wait. A lot of people. I have a few developers who will dump that 1031 money and Night Strike. You know what I'm talking about. At the end of the year, for like deposits or whatever, for construction, they can write that off and for that year, and then I can expense it in the next year. So anyway, I'm getting into a little too much business talk, but I have a project that might be coming up that will fund at least putting the foundation in for my main cabin. So hopefully that's going to be in January. So yeah, if that happens, then I'll be back on. I'll be making the planning, the first initial stages of the foundation and the slab and framing for that. And I do, on my own personal projects, I do get into drawing all the studs and beams and all that, because it's it's my own investment of time. But anyway, so what's going to happen here, I forgot to mention this, is that this part's going to be a screened in room, and then it's going to step down, and there will be an outdoor fireplace and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't, it's not like I've invested a lot of time in this, but I thought it was worth looking at, especially with this gable here and this roof chalked out like that. And it's kind of a neat idea though, because they've got these little stoops on both sides that connect these doors on, and this will be kind of a nice, it's kind of like they planned it that way in the beginning, but just maybe ran out of money or something and decided to do this. But so does anybody have any more? If you need IT help, let me know. Oh yeah, as usual. Oh, you're talking to Lock Rocks. Yeah. Locks Rocks needs to get an easier name so people from Tennessee can say it easy. Now, my grandmother used to drive me crazy with whatnots. She had all these little whatnots when I was growing up. She lived in a tin roof shack, kind of like I do now, and my tiny house. And she had all these whatnots that were up on these shelves, and you couldn't walk. The floors were kind of bouncy, and if you ran through the house, the whatnots would fall over. And then my papa would say, "Boy, you better not mess up Granny's, Mama's, whatever he called her, whatnot. She'll be after your tail." So, yeah, I have PTSD from whatnots. So anyway, all right. No, I was talking to you. Oh, well, I know, the reason I thought you were talking to him is because, I know where to go for IT help. You're kind of expensive, but it's all right. You're worth it, I guess. I'm just kidding. So there we go. That's enough. That's all I'm going to do. That's all the free work I'm going to do for Nate for now. He's probably thinking, "Oh, I can build this sucker now. I don't have to pay Tony." I'm just kidding. He seems like a nice guy. I've only talked to him once, and he sent me this information here, which was pretty good information. And just from this 2 or 3 paragraphs, I was able to do this. So now, what I would do now is I would take this information, I would print out this and a few different views. Then I would take my floor plan, and I need to put things in proper layers. I would print out my floor plan there, and I would go back. And measure everything. But see, now that I have a kind of a scaled, rough floor plan, I can go back and measure and say, okay, what is it from here to there? And I can compare that and see how well my initial drawings turned out. So the as-built drawing process is a little involved. It's obviously more involved than new construction because I'm drawing what's to be built with a new construction drawing. With as-built drawings, it's kind of a pain because you gotta. Where did my roof go? There we go. I need to update my working. I got 2 roofs there. Now that's kind of funky. All right, I've rambled enough at the end here, and no, you're not as expensive as like some New York, Wall Street IT guy, but almost. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I gotta run and do another paid job. I actually have drawing work I need to do for money now, so I'm gonna head out and do that because it's raining and it's a good time to get her done. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.